All right, if you're gearing up for the digital SAT, I'm willing to bet you're feeling at least a little bit of dread when it comes to the vocabulary sections. I mean, it's a super common fear, right? This idea that you somehow need to swallow a massive thesaurus, digest the whole thing, and magically absorb every single word just to get a top score. Well, today we are completely throwing that idea out the window. What we have for you in this explainer is a tactical playbook for mastering SAT vocabulary, and doing it without rote memorizing a dictionary. We're going to break down the exact strategies you need to conquer these questions efficiently and, most importantly, with absolute confidence.
So do you really need to study a dictionary to beat the SAT? Let's just go ahead and relieve that pressure right now. The answer is no, absolutely not. Now, sure, having a strong vocabulary definitely helps, but the real secret to beating these questions is understanding that context, not rote memorization, is your ultimate weapon. Seriously, the test writers are actually giving you the answers. They're hidden right there in the passage. You just need to know how to look for them.
So why does mastering this actually matter so much? Well, 10. That is the magic number here. You can expect about 10 of these vocabulary and context questions per test on the digital SAT. That makes this a highly rewarding, really high-stakes area to master. Nailing these 10 questions can significantly boost your score. And here's the best part. Because they follow highly predictable patterns, getting them right is entirely within your control once you know the rules of the game.
Okay, let's dive into this. To give you the absolute best tactics, we're pulling directly from Erica L. Meltzer's authoritative book, The Critical Reader, The Complete Guide to SAT Reading. Specifically, we're unpacking her incredible masterclass on vocabulary in context. Her strategies are practical, they're battle-tested, and they're going to serve as our ultimate fix for cracking this section of the test.
Here's our agenda for today. The vocabulary challenge, 2 main question types, the 4-step strategy, decoding transition signals, the positive/negative game, and finally, beware of second meanings. Let's jump in. Section 2. 2 main question types. Know your opponent.
Before you step into the ring, you gotta know exactly who you're fighting, right? On exam day, the digital SAT is gonna throw 2 very specific types of vocabulary challenges your way. First, we have sentence completions. These are your traditional missing word formats. You'll see a blank in a short passage, and you need to use text clues to determine the logical definition of that missing word. Then, we have meaning and context questions. Now, these are a bit trickier. Here, the test is specifically targeting your ability to recognize when common, everyday words are being used in their alternate definitions, and you really have to adjust your strategy slightly depending on which of these 2 you're actually facing.
Moving on to Section 3, the 4-step strategy. This is your foolproof recipe.
I'm going to slow things down just a second here, because this right here, this is the core playbook. If you follow this recipe every single time, it will completely protect you from the careless errors that trip up even the smartest test takers. Let's walk through this ironclad methodology. Step 1. Read the entire passage. Step 2. Identify keywords and transition signals. Step 3. Plug your own simple word into the blank. And Step 4. Play positive/negative. Now, I want you to pause and notice what is completely missing from these steps. Nowhere, and I mean nowhere, does it say look at the answer choices. You must never skip straight to the answers. The scoring software doesn't care how strong your vocabulary is if you get distracted by a trap answer and click the wrong button. Stick to the steps.
And that brings us to this absolutely crucial point. Context determines meaning. This is exactly why Step 1, reading the entire passage, is so incredibly vital. I once saw a student lose out on a perfect score simply because they zeroed in on the exact line with the blank and completely ignored the rest of the paragraph. Don't do that. If you focus exclusively on that single line, you're literally guaranteeing that you'll miss the test writer's hidden clues. Sometimes the clue that totally changes the meaning of the missing word is buried in the sentence right before or right after the blank. All right, Section 4, decoding transition signals. Let's follow the clues. Once you're actually reading the whole passage, you've got to know what you're looking for, right? The SAT writers intentionally leave behind specific clues that indicate the logical relationships in the text. There are 3 main categories of transition signals you need to hunt down. First up are continuers, words like and or moreover. When you see these, the idea is continuing in the exact same direction, so you want to look for a word with a similar meaning. Next are cause and effect words like because or therefore, which indicate a direct result. Finally, we have contradictors like however or despite. Guys, these are massive red flashing lights signaling a shift in direction, meaning you need to look for a word with the opposite meaning of the surrounding context. Honestly, hunting for these specific categories makes predicting the missing word an absolute breeze.
Oh, and here's a pretty surprising tactical fact for you. Punctuation is a clue. It's not just about the words. Unusual punctuation actually acts as a critical transition signal. Colons and dashes, for example, often function exactly like cause and effect transition words. They're telling you that the missing word must explain or elaborate on the idea that came right before it. It's literally like the SAT writers are pointing a giant neon arrow right at the answer.
Next up, Section 5, the positive/negative game. Let's eliminate the trap.
Let's ramp the energy back up for a second, because this is a highly effective, kind of gamified secret weapon for eliminating wrong answers when you get stuck. When you reach step 4 of our strategy, I want you to actively engage with your scratch paper. Determine if the missing word needs to be positive or negative based on the context you just read. If it's positive, draw a giant plus sign right on your scratch paper. If it's negative, draw a giant minus sign. Actually, writing this down lowers your cognitive resistance and reduces memory strain. If you know the blank needs a negative word, you can instantly eliminate any positive or neutral words from the answer choices. It is just a fantastic, foolproof way to quickly slash through the traps.
But as you evaluate those answer choices, you have to keep this quote in mind. Worry about what a word means, not how it sounds. This requires a massive mental shift. So many students second-guess themselves because the objectively correct word might sound a little odd or clunky to their ear when they plug it back into the sentence. The SAT does not care about what sounds conversational to you. It only cares about logical precision.
Finally, Section 6. Beware of second meanings. Consider this the final warning.
This brings us to a massive tactical warning about getting complacent. You might feel great when you see a set of very common, simple words in the answer choices, but you need to keep your guard up. Let's take the word want. We all know what it means in everyday life, right? To desire something. I want pizza. But on the SAT, want is frequently used to mean a lack of, especially in older historical texts. If you rely solely on the standard dictionary definition that pops into your head first, a totally harmless-looking word suddenly becomes a deadly trap. This perfectly highlights why those meaning in context questions even exist. They're there to test if you are actually reading the passage or just blindly reacting to the answer choices.
So, here is a hard-hitting rule you should absolutely live by for this test. If you see the usual, everyday definition of a word among the answer choices for a meaning and context question, you should safely assume it is incorrect. For example, if the passage uses the word spill and one of the answer choices is literally knock over, cross it out. Gone. Only reconsider it if absolutely no other option fits. This rule completely forces you to reconsider the context and ensures you don't just jump at the most obvious, shiny bait the test writers left out there for you.
So we've covered the tactics, we've exposed the traps, and we've mapped out the step-by-step logic you need. The only thing left to ask is, are you ready to stop guessing and start reading rhetorically? By following this blueprint, reading the whole passage, hunting for those transitions, playing the positive-negative game, and watching out for sneaky second meanings, you are transforming yourself from a passive guesser into a powerful rhetorical reader. You have the tools now, so it's time to put them into action on your practice tests. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and happy studying.